Hello everyone, this is Kyle from Mill Street Gardens, and today I want to show everyone some of our new, mostly native plants for next year. We're going to try to increase our selection of native plants, more so than what we already have, and this is just a small amount of what we produced and what we will have for next year. Aren't they cute? So we started these from seed about 3 months ago. And here's the first plant right here. It's the great blue lobelia. So Lobelia siphilitica, as it's also known, is related to the Lobelia cardinalis, which is the cardinal flower. But this one gets a blue flower instead of the red cardinal flower. It grows 1 to 4 feet tall and is hardy from USDA zones 4 to 8. This plant likes part shade locations with moist soils, but will tolerate sunny sites if enough moisture is present. We got it planted out in our showcase garden where it's really sunny and it's doing awesome and it's beautiful. It definitely can be used in your home landscape, in a perennial border, or as a cottage garden plant, or in a grouping or mass planting in a rain or wildlife garden. So I would just use it like any other perennial, to be honest. The beautiful blue flowers last 4 to 6 weeks from late summer and into autumn, and the flowers attract native bees, hummingbirds, and butterflies. Deers and other herbivores generally avoid eating this plant. It's native to Manitoba and Ontario, and south from Maine to Georgia, and North Dakota to Texas. Alright, so this is what they look like after about 3 months of growth. So we sowed the seeds 3 months ago, and they germinated soon thereafter. And the seedlings on this were like so tiny, you could barely see them. So we're trying to get a nice developed root system before the winter. So I pulled this one out to kind of show you the roots are looking really good. So come spring, we'll pot them up and they'll fill out a container real fast. Alright, moving on to our next plant, we have the Boneset, which is a beautiful native plant. Also known as Eupatorium perfoliatum, it'll grow 3 to 5 feet tall and 3 to 4 feet wide. It is hardy from USDA zones 4 to 8. It's a beautiful plant for a wildlife garden or a border plant with its beautiful white flowers. This wildflower offers showy blooms and provides erosion control. It is useful in stormwater retention basins and rain gardens, and it can be used in cottage garden, deer-resistant plantings, and shade gardens as well. It's native to the eastern United States and Canada, widespread from Nova Scotia to Florida, west as far as Texas, Nebraska, the Dakotas, and Manitoba. Alright, so same story with the other plant. This is what they look like after about 3 months. We got some mixed results. They're looking really good, though. Let me try to pop one of these out for you and show you the roots. Alright, roots are looking good on that too. This growing container is nice because the cells are deeper than that one, so it's allowing the roots to grow even a little bit bigger. The plants would be even farther along, but originally we were growing them in those hoop houses over there, and this time of year the sun changes so that the sun is more like over here as opposed to straight overhead. So as you can see, we have that tree line right there which shades that hoop house for like the whole day almost. It might only get like an hour or 2 hours of direct sun, and for the rest of the day it's shade. So that's why I actually decided to put them in this hoop house, or this greenhouse that was just empty on our sales floor, because this gets sun for a lot longer. So I was just showing that because this next plant I think suffered is the New York State Ironweed. I think, it'll catch up, and I'll see what the roots look like in a second. But we got a tray here, and some of them died because I think it was so shady in the hoop houses. The soil was staying too wet for it, and they were starting to rot. But some of them are looking good. And I produced enough of them so that we'll still have enough for sales next year. So here's a New York State Ironweed. also known as Vernonia noveboreaensis. It grows to a height of 4 to 8 feet tall with a spread of up to 4 feet, and it's hardy to USDA zones 5 to 9. It prefers full sun, and wild plants occur in wet sites, but in guarded situations, it can be in a well-drained soil and tolerate some drought. In bloom, it's a dramatic accent for a wildlife garden or a meadow type garden, and has beautiful purple flowers. It provides erosion control and can be used in cottage gardens, low maintenance plantings, or perennial borders. And it grows natively from New Hampshire to Kentucky and south to Georgia, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle. Just pulled one out so you can see the roots. Definitely got some root action, but not as good as these guys. So I'm going to be really hoping that moving them into this hoop house and the more consistent warmer temperatures during the fall will help them develop their roots a little bit more before winter. Alright, the next one we have is Aromatic Aster, and we don't have as many of them. Oops, here it is. And then we got some more of them over here. Oh, right here. These are Aromatic Asters. Aren't they cute? The scientific name for the Aromatic Aster is Aster oblongifolius, and it's called the Aromatic Aster because it has aromatic leaves. It'll grow as a mounting perennial. They'll get from 2 to 3 feet tall and wide, and it's hardy from zones 3 to 8. So it blooms for a very long time with the lavender flowers towards the end of the season, and it's one of the longest blooming asters. It's most common in central portions of the United States, like in the plains. It grows best in the full sun, but it will tolerate partly shaded areas, and the plants thrive in average to dry conditions, but will adapt to clay and rocky soils. Plants tolerate drought, but in extreme situations, irrigation may be needed to help prevent the defoliation of the lower leaves. So if you want the plant to still look good, make sure you water it. Can be used in, like traditional gardens as well as wildlife gardens, and it's a good alternative to chrysanthemums. All right, here are the roots. Not as white as other ones, but definitely nice deep roots. So I think that will do really good. What is this? Oh, we have the Helenium autumnale Helenium or autumn Helenium. The Sneezeweed begins to flower in late summer or early fall and continues for 1 to 2 months. It gets covered with a beautiful yellow flower, as you can see in the picture. It's easy to grow in most sunny and especially wet sites, and it's deer and rabbit resistance. It's great for wildlife gardens, cottage gardens, and perennial borders. Alright, so these do got some roots on them, but I didn't pull it out of here because all the soil started to fall off when I tried to pull that one up. So we're just going to leave that one in there. This tray is not a native plant, but it is an aster, a hybrid aster. So I think it's like a cultivated native. This one's the Aster Monch. And I did this one from cuttings because you cannot grow these from seed because they're not true to seed. And as you can see, I did these cuttings, a long time ago. I probably did the cuttings around the same time as, these plants were sowed. So I think it's just another case of being in that shady hoop house for too long. So hopefully things start to catch up. Oh, let's see what the roots look like. I forgot to do that. They're just starting to peek out through the sides of the soil, so still got some rooting out to do. Here is the Rebeca lancinata, or the Cutleaf Rudbeckia. The Cutleaf Rudbeckia, named so for the foliage, can grow from 3 to 8 feet tall and have a spread of 2 to 4 feet. It's hardy from zones 3 to 9. and it's a very long blooming perennial. So it has yellow flowers, which consists of a yellow-green globular cone surrounded by drooping yellow rays. Thrives in partly shaded sites with most moist or wet fertile soils, but we currently have it growing in normal full sun conditions and it's beautiful. However, we read that it's not very drought tolerant, but I did not notice this. It occurs in most of southern Canadian provinces and in all of the United States except for California, Nevada, and Oregon. It's deer resistant and great for wildlife gardens, cottage gardens, and perennial borders alike. This one I actually potted up not that long ago, so I'm not going to show you the roots, but they're looking really good. And I tried to sow these from seed, and I had very little germination. So I had 1, 2, 3, but these popped up in the ground next to the plant. So I dug them up and put them in this tray, and now I got 30 of them. Aquilegia canadensis, another one that was suffering in the shade. So this is the native columbine. Okay, so the wild columbine, or the Aquilegia canadensis, has a pretty ferny foliage, and it's very adaptable because you can grow it in a shady spot, or you can also grow it in a sunny location. It grows up to 2 feet tall and wide, and is hardy from zones 3 to 8. And gets the pretty red and yellow flowers in the spring. It's native to Canada and all the states east of the Rockies except for Louisiana. The range extends from Nova Scotia south through the Florida Panhandle and west to Texas. I won't show you the roots on these ones because they actually were really slow to germinate, so they haven't been growing as long. But I do got some right here that I started from seed last year. So we got them on our sales floor. So I started these at the same time. These are just of the year. These are just a year older. So we have those for sale now, and you know, they'll overwinter, and we'll have them next spring too when they're blooming. Some other things in here. These are just some butterfly bush cuttings that we took from a really beautiful butterfly bush, the Nanho blue. Here's some pussy willow cuttings, which they're growing a lot slower than I thought they would. And I think it's because of the shade situation. So we just moved all these plants in here like a week ago. Here's some Baptisia or false indigo that I started from seed. So I gotta split these up and then put them in trays just like these guys. But I have Baptisia that I started from seed last year out on the shelf floor right now, so it grows pretty fast. And then finally, some more cuttings. These are plants. Well, actually, the Joe Pye weed, chocolate Joe Pye, which is what this is, can only be started by cutting. So that's why I did that versus cutting. And then we just got some spotted bee balm, which honestly looks a little spotty right now. So well, hopefully they'll pull through with the increased amount of sun. Alright, so thank you for watching. I hope everyone enjoyed this sneak little preview of some of the plants that we'll have next year. And I'll look into the production of some of our plants at the nursery. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the description below. Thank you.